Poseidon. Hey. Alright everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we are going to be breaking down the official full-length Percy Jackson Season 2 trailer. If you haven't already, make sure you go and watch my reaction to the trailer. Unfortunately, I am so sorry about it. My mic was not working in that video. I don't think it was like plugged in correctly into the thing that I used to record audio. I'm hoping right now it is, and you can hear me fine and everything's okay, because if not, I'll be upset again, but I apologize for the audio in that video being a little wonky. Hopefully this video sounds better. But without further ado, let's get into breaking down the trailer. So the trailer opens with what looks like Percy in the big house. And this shot looks very similar to a shot from the teaser trailer that's also later on in this trailer, which is Kronos walking into the big house. So I assume that this is a dream, which I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this season. Then we get another shot of Percy in real life. This time he's like looking around, and then in the trailer it seems like he hears Grover call out his name, but this shot looks really similar to a shot that we get at the very end of the trailer where Percy turns around and sees Poseidon. So I think that that's what this is, and they just put audio of Grover saying Percy's name over it. We see a shot that we've seen before in a teaser trailer of Grover on his quest to find Pan. Seemingly he's being followed by members of Luke's army, because if you look behind him, that is the girl who's going to be playing Allison. If you don't know, Allison is a new original character to the TV show. She's not in the books, but they're adding her to the show. She's just like an older, kind of like graduated camper who is on Luke's side of everything. So that's Allison in the background, and we've seen this shot before. But then the next shot we see is a monster pulling Grover like into the ocean, which is kind of nuts. We've seen the shot of the monster's arm before in another teaser trailer, but we haven't seen it grabbing Grover. And honestly, I think it looks spectacular. It looks so good, guys. But I think it's safe to assume that this is before Grover's captured by Polyphemus. Next, we see Percy at camp or on his way to camp, and we see a lot of shots from this scene. This is essentially, I think, just like Percy on his way to camp with Tyson and Annabeth, and they're battling some Laestrygonian giants who keep throwing fireballs at them. Probably the same giants that they play dodgeball with at the beginning of the book, and they just follow them to camp. We know from other teaser trailers, and we know from later on in this trailer, that these giants have like big fireballs. So I do think that these giants are going to be replacing the mechanical bronze bulls that happened at the beginning of the Sea of Monsters book, which doesn't really affect me. Doesn't upset me all that much. All we really need the bulls for at the beginning of the book is to show that Tyson is like immune to fire, and these giants having fireballs is going to do that all the same, so not a problem. We see a quick shot of Luke sort of like bringing his sword down, and we know from the previous teaser trailer that he is bringing his sword down onto Percy, which is kind of crazy. And then we see Percy fall out of his bed in his room. This is probably after he had a dream about Grover or a nightmare or something like that. We see Percy look at himself in his mirror, and he's got all these photos around the edge of the mirror in his room. On the bottom right, you can see a photo of Grover that we get a close-up on later in the trailer. But if you squint, guys, the photo on the left looks like it might be the photo of Annabeth in front of the Lincoln Memorial that she sends him in the book. Because like I'm seeing what looks like the Lincoln Memorial and what looks like a blurry figure in an orange shirt, and that's exactly how that picture is described in the book. So I'm thinking that's what that is, and if it is, I'm gonna be really excited. Then we see a shot of the Grey sisters taxi driving through New York. I think the taxi looks so good. Guys, the budget in this trailer is showing big time. Their budget increase is showing big time. And I just think that like the designers that are behind the scenes, like the costume designers, 8. Set designers, 8. Prop designers, 8. Everyone cooked so hard on season 2. This trailer is just, I think, remarkable. Then we get a shot of Annabeth. She has shown up and she is talking to Percy. And guys, this is actually so crazy to see this. That scared the shit out of me. Oh my god. Anyways, it really is so crazy to see this scene like in high quality HD, because forever ago, the first like footage we got of people seeing them film Percy Jackson season 2 was them filming on the streets of Canada, filming this scene, and that was like 40 billion years ago. So it's so crazy to see this in HD. But Annabeth shows up and she's talking to Percy, and she's like, "You didn't have the dream?" And Percy's like, "What, about Grover?" And Annabeth's like, "No, about camp," which is kind of interesting. Then it cuts to the chariot race set, clearly in disarray. Pretty clear to me this is after the Stymphalian birds have attacked. And then we get a shot of what I assume are the Stymphalian birds, which I think they look really horrific and scary looking. So I think that that's exactly what they're going for. Definitely all the monsters that we see in this trailer, like from the birds to the sirens to Skill and Charybdis, like look scary. Like the design that they made for all these monsters is scary. Then we see Annabeth looking alarmed in the chariot race scene. I assume that this is probably right before the birds are about to attack. Then we get that shot of Kronos walking into the big house that I mentioned earlier. This all looks like a part of Percy's dream. Then we get Dionysus and Tantalus talking to Annabeth and Percy. Dionysus says, "The danger the camp is under is greater than you can possibly imagine." But knowing Dionysus, I feel like his next line after that is going to be like a joke. He's going to be like, "We're out of Diet Coke." Something like that. We see the giants throwing fireballs at Percy and Tyson. Then we have Percy in the taxi asking the Grey sisters if they know where Grover is. And there's a very funny line in here of Tyson freaking out, being like, "The Grey sisters only have one eye?" And they're like, "Look who's talking." That's really good humor. The writers cooked with that. They really did. That made me laugh. And also Tyson's just adorable, and I love him. Then Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson arrive at camp. They're like running up the hill to Camp Half-Blood, and they physically see Luke poisoning Thalia's tree, which is a crazy addition to the show. And I love it. There's also an addition that I think they're going to do at the end of the season, which we'll talk about when we get to that point in the trailer. And if they do what I think they're going to do, it's going to be so good. I can't even wait. But they see Luke poisoning Thalia's tree. And then Luke tells Percy, "I'll see you out there," whatever that means. And then Luke leaves on Blackjack, which is really interesting. I think that's going to be giving Blackjack a much more interesting backstory, especially when he becomes Percy's Pegasus in season 3. I like that change. And I don't think that that's going to be the last time we see Blackjack in this season either. There are a couple of lines that happen late, like at this point in the trailer, to sort of establish the plot of the season for the people watching it that are like kind of normal, casual watchers, which is good. Like we get Annabeth saying that Luke poisoned Thalia, and Percy saying that if the tree falls, the barrier falls, and the camp will be open to any attack. It then cuts to the giants like chasing Percy and Tyson again, signifying that that's going to be one of the attacks that Percy is literally talking about in the voiceover. And then it also shows them the shot of Luke and his army attacking camp, which I think happens at the end of season 2. Percy talks about saving Grover, and then we cut to a shot of Grover with his mouth being like tied up and like gagged. And if you look closely, if you squint, if you look closely at the shot, it does look like Grover's in his wedding dress, everybody. So first look at Grover in his wedding dress, technically. Then we get our first like real official look at Polyphemus, which is kind of crazy. We do have a shot of him technically in the teaser trailer, but like his hood is up and you can't see his face. But we get our first look at Polyphemus. Again, more shots of Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson running away from these fireballs from the giants. Like I said, actually, a lot of this trailer is literally from them arriving at camp, which is kind of crazy. We hear Timothy Simons as Tantalus speak for the first time. He says, "For the key to our survival, you must quest to the sea of monsters." What a great trailer line. Also, Tantalus here is clearly like messed up from the birds attacking the chariot race. And during his voiceover here, we get a couple of shots. We get a shot of Clarice grabbing some weapons. I assume this is probably her on her ironclad ship. We get a shot of Percy getting ready to fight, and I assume he's about to fight the giants on their way to camp because he's in his Merryweather prep uniform. We see Tyson in a forge that looks like it's about to explode. So probably, if I had to guess, that's going to be in the engine room of the ironclad ship before it goes kaplooey. And then we get a shot of Annabeth and Clarice on the deck of the Princess Andromeda, which is tea. I don't particularly remember Clarice ever being on the Princess Andromeda with like Percy and Annabeth and Tyson. Maybe she is at one point, but I don't think she is. But I wouldn't be shocked if they add Clarice being with them, at least in the very end of the series. Like when they get the Golden Fleece and like they're back in Florida, right before Luke kidnaps them. I wouldn't be shocked if they change it so that Clarice is also kidnapped with them. But I do like the shot of Clarice and Annabeth like walking together, getting ready to fight something. I think that is kind of a badass shot. Then we get some shots of the Sea of Monsters itself. We see the ironclad ship like sailing through it. We see Clarice at like the helm of the ship. I actually don't even know if... I don't really know what the helm of a ship is. I don't know if helm is the front or helm is where like the wheel is. Regardless though, she looks great. Then we see her undead soldiers on the ship. I think they're all kind of looking out at the Sea of Monsters, probably looking at a monster about to attack them. We see Clarice jumping into action, Percy and Annabeth looking up all scared. And then we get our first look at Scylla, which looks absolutely terrifying. Truly. It's a bit of a foggy shot. Like she's kind of encased in fog and it's a little dark. But I still think that the design and the CGI look insane. Like that's a big ass monster. That's a big ass monster. That's crazy. And then we get a whole bunch of intense shots of the ironclad ship in the Sea of Monsters, and as like Clarice and her crew try to fight Scylla. Then, oh, the gaggery. We get our first look at Thalia. I almost stood up and cheered. I was like so overwhelmed because that was right when the song kicked in the trailer, and I was like, oh, the song. Oh shit, it's Thalia. But she looks great. She looks so good. This is definitely a flashback, I do have to say. Clear as day, this is a flashback. Obviously, anything we see of Thalia in season 2 is going to be a flashback. But I think she looks so good. I think her shield looks insane. I think she looks very goth. She's got, she's got a leather jacket on. She's got, I think like her hair kind of looks like a little bit like she dyed it blue, honestly, or attempted to dye it blue. She's got like a flannel around her waist. She's got her nails painted black. I think I already mentioned her eyeliner. I think she looks pretty goth punk, and I think she looks great. Then we have a shot of Percy and Annabeth on like an individual ship. So this is obviously well after the ironclad ship has blown up. But I also think this might be after Cersei's Island, because to my remembrance, they barely survived the ironclad ship blowing up, and they're just on like kind of like a piece of driftwood, honestly, until they arrive at Cersei's Island. And then from Cersei's Island, they steal Blackbeard's ship, which I don't know if they're still gonna do in the show, but I think they steal Blackbeard's ship at Cersei's Island, and then they take that ship to the Sirens. So if I had to guess, this is probably after Cersei's Island. Then, oh my god, we get our first look at the Sirens, and they're fucking horrifying. They're scary. They're like these creepy, scary, like volcanic rock creatures, and I'm horrified of them. But they look good. They look really, really, really good. Annabeth also looks scared to death of the Sirens herself, and she's like on the island with them, it seems. I've talked about this in previous videos before, but I do think that the siren scene is going to be like redesigned to be much more horror themed. I think in an Entertainment Weekly article, one of the EPs spoke about how they changed a big part of the siren scene, and I've definitely talked about it before in previous season 2 videos. But I'm thinking the big change that will be made to the siren scene is both that it's going to be like more horror themed, and also I think it's going to involve Athena a lot more than it does in the books, which to me seem like positive changes. I'm sorry, I cannot tell a lie. But yeah, the Sirens look insane. The way that they're moving is insane. The costume department is on crack cocaine this season, I think. And that's a compliment. We see Percy in the big house giving a speech. I assume he's giving a speech to other campers because if you look behind him, there's Annabeth and some other people in orange shirts. And in his little speech that we get, he's like talking about how we take care of each other. That's what heroes do, etc., etc. Then we get this shot of Percy on the beach about to fight Clarice. And I'm being so serious, guys. I think I've seen this shot more in the past year than I've seen my own family. Like, before this trailer came out today, I was like, I know that we're going to see this shot. We're either going to see this shot or we're going to see the shot of him and Clarice fighting on the beach because we've seen those shots 40 billion times since they started dropping promo for season 2. Oof. One thing you can always count on is that this shot of Percy is going to be in a trailer. I promise you that. Then we get our first look at Rosemarie DeWitt as Cersei in her island. Crazy background. I think it looks awesome. And then we get our first look at Percy as a guinea pig, and the guinea pig is so cute. We do know that the guinea pig's name is Vanilla, which is precious, and it's just a cute little guinea pig. Oh, so cute. Then we get another look at Polyphemus doing something with his hook. Lord knows what he's doing there. Then we get our first look at Ares in season 2, and he's with Clarice. So I think that that's going to be really interesting and fun to see. Oh gosh, this trailer has so much stuff in it because then we have Kronos in his like little coffin thing. And the design of the coffin looks really cool, I think, in my opinion. It's like marble with like gold in it. I think it looks awesome. But Kronos is in his coffin and we can hear him saying, "Kill the son of Poseidon." I wonder who that could possibly be. We then cut to Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson on what I think is the Princess Andromeda. They're in like a hall of like art. It's like a gallery hallway type thing. We see them in that hallway a couple of times in the trailer. I think that's on the Princess Andromeda. And then we get another shot of Luke on what I think is also the Princess Andromeda, which I think is going to be a really big set piece, which is really exciting. See, here we have another shot of Percy running through the halls of the Princess Andromeda, and he's with the Golden Fleece. So this will be towards the end of the book when Luke kidnaps them, like after they get the Golden Fleece and like they're back in Florida or whatever. We've seen a shot of Percy running through the halls with the Golden Fleece before, and that's a big reason why I think they're going to change the ending where in the book they send Clarice off on an airplane with the Golden Fleece to get back to camp to like save the tree and save the border. I think in the show they're going to change it so that Clarice is with them when Luke kidnaps them, because clearly she has to be if they have the Golden Fleece on the Princess Andromeda, which is fine. I think that that's going to up the tension a lot, so I'm here for it. And clearly it creates a big a fight scene because everyone's running and everyone's fighting. Then we get another shot of Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson running on the Princess Andromeda, but this time they don't have the fleece, so that's a little concerning. We see Percy and Tyson in the chariot race. This is either at the beginning or at the end of the season. I feel like there's really no way of knowing. But we get more action shots of the chariot race, which I think looks really cool. And also Tyson's just the most adorable boy ever. I love him. He's just one of my favorites of all time. We see more of Luke and his army attacking Camp Half-Blood. Like I said, I think this is at the end of the series. We get a shot of Luke versus Percy, and I had to pause because I'm seeing a tall, dark-skinned man in the background in Hephaestus armor. Charles Beckendorf, welcome home. Charles Beckendorf, welcome home in my opinion. But also I wanted to talk about this shot because obviously Luke's army is fighting a whole bunch of Camp Half-Blooders, but then you look in the background of this shot and there's like 3 Laestrygonian giants just staring at Thalia's tree. Now, if this is in fact at the end of the book, or end of the season, whatever you want to call it, if this is at the end of the season, is Luke gonna be there when Thalia wakes up out of that tree? Do you know how crazy it would be if Thalia wakes up from that tree and she turns to see everybody standing there and she sees Luke and she's so excited to see Luke, just for Luke to have to run away because he just beat the shit up out of Percy and he's a villain? The gaggery that it could be for Luke to be there when Thalia wakes up would be crazy. But anyways, the next shot, we see a couple more shots of Luke and Percy fighting, and then Luke like throat punches Percy. He punches him in the throat, which is crazy. And then Percy falls to the ground, kind of looking like he passes out. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this shot of like Percy like falling to his knees and like passing out is really funny to me because Clarice is just standing there in the background like minding her own business, which I think is kind of funny. Then we see Hermes talking to Percy. We've seen him in a teaser trailer for season 2, but this is the first time we've seen him talking, I'm pretty sure. And he says to Percy, you can't give up on your family, which I think means that hopefully we'll be getting more of Hermes talking about Luke, which was some of my favorite moments of season 1. But when Hermes says this line and then cuts to Sally and Percy hugging each other, this is our only look at Sally Jackson in season 2, but that's mother to me. That's mother. I love her. And then Poseidon shows up. My fave. Poseidon shows up and he's talking to Percy and he just tells Percy, don't underestimate yourself. Poseidon. Hey. But then for like the final sort of shot of the trailer, we see Percy rushing up to the front of the ironclad ship in the middle of them fighting Scylla and Charybdis. And it looks like a really cool kind of like one take shot, honestly, of him running through all of the undead soldiers on the ship, which, by the way, these soldiers are getting plucked and pulled off of the ship. We're losing soldiers left and right. Percy's running to the front of the ship. The monsters in the background look insane. And then it looks like Percy starts to use his powers to like lift the ironclad ship up out of the ocean. That's crazy. Oh, we're gonna have so much fun seeing Percy use his powers this season. I'm so excited for that. That shot at the end of the trailer, like all of it being like kind of like a one take, and like Percy like kind of doing like his own version of like a superhero landing at the front of the ship just to like lift it up. It's so cool. It looks so cool. So that pretty much does it for like the breakdown of the trailer. My overall thoughts. The budget is clearly budgeting. I think it's very clear in this trailer alone that they said bye-bye to the volume screen, and they're the better for it. I think like the designs of the monsters are on a whole nother level this season, which is crazy to say because I really liked all the designs of the monsters in season 1. The siren scene is gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. Now, okay, I will say this. At this point, it does slightly concern me that we haven't seen anything of the Hydra. In the book, you know, Percy's trying to fight a Hydra, and then that's when Clarice comes in and takes it out with her ship. We still haven't seen anything of that, which makes me think we might not. I know that the show likes to not do things that the movies have already done. I think that's partially why they're not doing the mechanical bronze bulls at the beginning of season 2. And I think that would also mean they maybe don't want to do the Hydra because they did the Hydra in the first Percy Jackson movie, which would be fine. I mean, The Sea of Monsters is actually a really jam-packed book, so if they cut down on 1 or 2 monsters to like consolidate and make it flow a little better, I think it'll work fine, but I think we should all maybe prepare ourselves for the possibility that there won't be a Hydra. I can't wait to see more of Scylla and Charybdis because I think that they look insane. Like, intense insane. But everything just looks good. All the water shots look great. I mean, it just makes season 1 look like child's play, which is crazy because I loved season 1. I thought season 1 was a really great season. But Sea of Monsters is about to be that girl. And it just looks so good. Top 3 moments of the trailer. Number 1, seeing the sirens. Seeing the design of them. Seeing how they move. Oh, scary. Number 2, seeing Thalia. That was really exciting. I like that her outfit very much gives like not just punk, but like British punk. Because if you guys remember, Tamara Smart is British and she's gonna be British in the show. Like Thalia is British. So she's kind of giving British goth punk, which is cool. And then my third favorite moment was seeing Sally and Poseidon. Y'all know, number 1 Sally and Poseidon fan right here. But that does it. Let me know your thoughts on the trailer. Let me know if I missed anything in the breakdown because it's possible that I did. let me know your top 3 favorite moments from the trailer, because I'm sure we all have very different favorite moments. And like I said, make sure you watch my reaction to the trailer as well. But that pretty much does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.